Hey, welcome to the Breaking Hyman podcast. Today we have two familiar guests, Roy and Rafa. And we're going to talk about the Alamo, guys.
That's an interesting one, huh?
Yeah, well, you know, we're coming up on the anniversary because the battle was fought February 23rd to March 6th, 1836. So that's almost, 189 years ago.
Long fucking time ago.
Long fucking time ago. It's crazy that Texas is that old.
Texas became a state in 1845. So.
1845. So this was like this is when Texas became independent. This is basically one of the key. So we were our own ass state for 9 years.
I believe they're at the beginning stage of trying to make that happen.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm not a historian. I don't have dates and all that kind of stuff, but I heard a few things.
Roy can start.
Can I go as to what led up to this? And I think it'd be interesting to say what led up to this because
it is interesting.
So the revolution actually started in October 2nd of 1836. Now, prior to this,
Whose revolution, by the way?
Texas Revolution.
Oh, Texas Revolution. Okay.
So prior to this, Mexico had abolished slavery.
Yeah.
And now you have Anglo settlers coming into Texas, and they didn't like that because they had slaves.
Yeah.
So then Mexico also implements a rule where there's no more immigration.
Yeah.
So you can't come into Texas and live here anymore. These are the two key figures as to why the Texans wanted to revolt from the...
Well, even until nowadays, in the Mexican Constitution, it says that if any slave touches ground in Mexico, you become free. They do not tolerate slavery in Mexico. Since back in those days, they were against slavery.
So you have like American expansionism, and they're coming into Texas with their slaves, and Mexico's like, we really don't rock with that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because America was kind of the last of the. I mean, there was slavery. There's still slavery going. There's still slavery going on in Africa and in other parts of the world. But as far as like the modern colonial world, America was the last one to give that shit up. Because England gave it up in like the 1820s, 1830s. Mexico was like, we don't even want to rock with that shit. And I get it because, they're like, well, these white people are keeping black people as slaves. We're not that much lighter.
I don't think that was
no, probably not. But I get it. And I looked up. I was watching a lot of videos. There's this book this guy wrote called "Forget the Alamo," and he just used that title. It was more about like, hey, let's reconsider
clickbait?
it. Yeah, it was kind of clickbait, but he's like, reconsider the Alamo because it's like we kind of villainize Santa Ana. Because Texas is kind of this big thing, but it's really just like, it's a lot about slavery so there isn't necessarily like Texas isn't righteous, Mexico isn't evil. It was a battle of ideologies.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny how in the movies and some of the documentaries and History Channel and stuff, they leave that outside. They don't.
Yeah,
they
don't talk about the slavery aspect at all.
Talk about that.
Cotton was big. Cotton back in those days was like the plastic. You can make you can make everything.
Oh yeah.
Gin,
the canvas stains, the clothes, ropes, whatever you needed, you make it with cotton.
It's still huge in Texas.
Of course it is. But back in the days, it was way bigger because plastic didn't exist, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so imagine that cotton is huge, and then these guys, of course, they won just like in Louisiana, they won the slaves to the war because. It's amazing you can get rich.
It was like
super fast.
Did I have one of those, Roy?
We were industrializing very quickly.
Oh yeah,
and we needed slave labor.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you about this, Rafa, because I was doing ChatGPT research because I was learning about Mexico's revolution.
You were there, right?
I wish.
It mentioned you have like Creoles. That's the word they use. You had indigenous people. You have mestizos. Like, what kind of people kind of come from Mexico? Well, you got Jews now because your president's Jewish. Like, I don't understand the demographic.
Vicente Fox?
Because I understand mestizo a little bit. That's like the Spaniard mixing with the natives.
Correct.
And I know there's indigenous folk there too. Mm-hmm. And then you have like Spanish settlers there.
Yeah.
So what else?
White people. Well, we have all kinds of mixtures. Once they started colonizing, once the Spaniards came in here, came into Mexico. And then you got people from France, you get people from other countries now. Once they're using the big boat, once they bring in slaves from all over the place. So we have a mixture in Mexico. Now, one saying that is in Mexico that is very popular is like Mexicans. Let me say in Spanish first, so this way I can translate it better. Los mexicanos nacemos donde nos da la chingada gana. Meaning that Mexicans, we're born whatever the fuck we want to be born. Okay, so that to us, it's like, you want to be Mexican, you're Mexican, bro. You see what I'm saying? As long as you love
no matter what
culture,
you look like.
or where you were born, man.
Yeah, because Mexico is not like Japan. You know, Japanese people have a Japanese feature and culture.
We accept everybody.
That's what I was wondering, because these all those people that are fighting. Again, GPT said this, Tejanos and Texians. Those are the people kind of on either side.
There's this very much, I think a lot of people picture the John Wayne version, where it's like the people fighting in the Alamo were white, the people attacking were Mexican. There were a lot of Mexicans or mestizo, whatever you want to, people of mixed heritage fighting on the Alamo side. I mean, Juan Seguin was one of the key figures.
That would have been me.
First of all,
you would have been
to begin with, in a lot of the cowboy movies, it's rare when you see black people.
Yeah.
And that rather is a huge lie.
Yeah, that's a more common. Yeah,
the newer Alamo movie is pretty accurate.
The other thing is, like, let's say we were in that age, that era, okay, and you're from Texas, and he's the illegal immigrant.
He's the Anglo settler,
illegal alien from Europe, and he's convincing you, bro. We gotta have black people here. We gotta have slaves like a motherfucker. We're gonna get rich.
Hey, Roy, you don't want to work so hard, do you?
Yeah, no, let's fuck the black people big time. Okay, let's make our own thing. Let's make our own country. We're amigos, right?
Bro,
of course,
I'll use the word amigo.
Of course, you're gonna have some Mexicans on your side.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I can. Let's do
my
this.
God, yep.
Yeah. Well, and also
that's how I picture it.
I mean, you've got
my family's from here. From Central Texas as far back as forever. So that's like the people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. But you identify yourself, like you said, as a Texan.
Texan, that's it. That's what's funny about this panel right here.
Because it's funny, because there's a lot of people who are like second, third, fourth generation from Mexico. And they do, whenever it's convenience to them, they do identify as Mexican.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whenever it's not too convenient, it's like, no, I'm from Texas or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny because you have just shortly before this, you have Mexico got independence from Spain. So in Santa Anna, one of his claim to fame was he was a general and he had a strategic battle. Let's see, when was that? Well, shit, I don't know. He defeated the Spanish, and then he was elected president like 11 times. So
he was basically the emperor before.
They call him the Napoleon of the West because he took over so much stuff. And
I was going to mention that too. Napoleon kind of came in after all of this.
Yeah,
his nephew.
Oh, did he name
Maximilian Napoleon was the last Napoleonic leader in the world, and he ruled over Mexico for like 2 years.
Wow,
and then they killed his ass.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, shouldn't have named him that.
So we had what is your facts? I have 180 to 250 soldiers on the Texas side.
Yeah.
Against about 1,800 to 6,000 Mexican.
Yeah,
soldiers.
there were at least 10 times as many, and 180 to 200 Texans killed 600 Mexicans. It's crazy how many. Well, but it wasn't as strategic.
I heard that fact also, but you gotta understand this. Well, you're gonna have a siege into a fortress, you're gonna get that many losses.
Yeah.
Okay,
because they have guns.
You're in the open. Exactly. They got the
and
high
Santana
ground.
had no.
They're behind something. You're out in the open. So Santana just
he had no prisoner.
I don't.
He had a no prisoner rule. He
no quarter.
Everything.
Yeah,
and in a way, yes, but I mean,
at the end,
if you wanna. Exactly at the end, because some people say that it was at the beginning.
He gave
but also you gotta understand, if you see the red flag and you know what the red flag means, which means we're not gonna take no prisoners, that right there is giving you a shot to say, sayonara, motherfucker.
I think all the women, that's when they did draw the line in the sand.
Yeah. And I think only one guy, supposedly.
Yeah, one fellow white man left.
Yeah. It's interesting because we know a little bit about what happened because some people escaped and there were things written. I mean, what's his name? Travis wrote a lot of stuff.
I think they just discovered Santa Anna's journal.
Really?
The lost one that they didn't have before.
Yeah. I didn't realize that he was not killed whenever Texas got its independence. He was alive for a while.
He lived till 1865.
It's crazy.
But he did live in exile.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Napoleon.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was looking up Santa Anna, same age I am now. I'm like thinking this guy leading this huge battle because he was born in like 1794. So in 1836, he would have turned 42 years old.
Oh, shit.
I'm fucking 42. I'm like, I'm a fucking pussy. I couldn't have led a group of like thousands of guys. Like, all right, let's kill these dudes. But times were different. Times were different.
And actually, at that age, you were considered very old.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
For sure, they just left you if you couldn't come.
Yeah.
And being, I guess, he was a military guy.
He
had to go from soldier to
I'm pretty sure he sounds like he was trained by the Spaniards.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
they were massive.
Yeah. But I mean, he's kind of villainized. And if you look at Texas history, Santa Anna is probably the biggest villain because he's responsible for all these people being killed at the Alamo. But again,
he gave them the chance to escape and they didn't.
Yeah.
And also, you got to understand this. He was fighting for the slaves. If you look
at
it in
you're right.
In that sense, he was
trying
to
about it like
liberate people.
Yeah.
For the freedom of the black people. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and he just saw.
They don't mention that in Black History.
Yeah, they don't.
We'll see how this is taken.
Not really. I don't
think.
The
Mexicans think to Santana? No, none of that shit.
You know what? They need to tear down the statues of Columbus, put up statues of Santa Anna. Come on, man. He tried to free the slaves. He didn't. They were still captive for another 30-something years, but
that was kind of
he tried.
Then.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really interesting. So did you look up some of the history behind like what led up to the battle? As far as I
know let me see, the Gonzalez, they took a cannon there that started it.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure, but I just know when it started and when it ended. The Battle of San Jacinto ends.
It's funny because it was supposed to be like 13 days, right?
13 days, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also they mentioned that when they took siege over the wall or whatever, the people were asleep. So that means that it wasn't 13 days of bullets every.
Oh no,
second.
there were lapses.
So that, to me, there's a big lapses there where they still had the chance to get out of there.
Yeah.
And also they mentioned that some 36 men, the Texans wanted to help out, and first they start shooting at them until they were like, no, we're with you guys.
Yeah.
And they let them in. They shot a few of them and they were trying to help them out.
I'm sure it was
and that was a little boost.
I'm sure it was a messy time. It wasn't as
there's
Hollywood.
No radios, like, I'll be there.
No radios, no cell phones, not even really telegraphs.
If I'm not mistaken, if my history is correct, and one of my favorite historical characters, Davy Crockett.
Fuck yeah.
He came thinking the war was already over.
Oh shit!
He didn't want to fight.
Yeah,
like he was like when he came, he was like, oh, "I thought you guys already won.
Yeah,
that's why we're here."
I came here for the party.
Yeah. Well, if you know his history, he got kicked out of Tennessee. He kind of got shamed from there. Well, so he was like, "I'm coming to Texas, but I'll wait for this war to be over."
Davy Crockett was a congressman from Tennessee, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, let's go help Texas." And Andrew Jackson's like, "Fuck off, dude. We're not doing that."
Before that, he was very famous.
He was
known. Yeah,
he lost his seat to
to
a guy who didn't have legs.
Oh, really?
This is a shame that he lost to a guy that didn't have legs, or he was a wheelchair. So that was like a huge disrespect back then. The guy in the wheelchair beat him.
Did everybody who knew?
So he kind of got ousted, and he was like, "Fuck it, I'm coming to Texas." But I don't think he wanted to fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the famous thing is, you guys can go to hell. I'm going to Texas. I mean, that was like the famous saying, and that's attributed to Davy Crockett.
His vest is in the Alamo right now.
Really?
He was a tiny dude. Very tiny dude.
People weren't as big back then.
It was weird.
He's a tiny little man from Tennessee. He fought a bear when he was only 3.
He rode lightning. He could ride lightning.
Davy Crockett.
But no, I love Davy Crockett. I like the, what's his name? Bowie. The Bowie knife.
Jim Bowie, Bowie. Well, and Jim Bowie was like dying of pneumonia.
He was sick. He had a Mexican lover. He had a Mexican lover.
I heard he was polio. That's what he had.
I've heard a lot of things. I listened to a podcast actually while I was at the gym earlier, and I thought he had tuberculosis.
There you go.
I thought he had tuberculosis. This says pneumonia. Yeah. It's not like there were like good doctors back then that could do tests, but I think they think he had pneumonia.
One of those.
He was sitting on his bed, and they came and stabbed him in the belly.
Yeah, but he defended himself with his signature knife. His
knife
David
rules.
Bowie.
I want one.
Yeah. When's your birthday,
kinda
Roy?
like
I'll
a
get you a
Rambo
fucking
knife,
Bowie
right?
knife.
It's
Fucking
motherfucker,
huge,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick.
Probably buy one for like $10 at a flea market.
No, but you need real steel. Those are
Oh
expensive.
yeah, like the Japanese
That's
steel.
fucking real, dude.
That's a Hattori Hanzo Bowie knife.
And that's one of the things also why the Alamo is so famous, because there was these three heroes, American heroes
Yeah.
who actually got killed there.
Well, yeah, I know Travis
Travis.
Bowie and Davy Crockett. But the interesting thing is when Travis was sent there, he was originally going to destroy it because they didn't. Yeah, he was originally going to destroy it because it wasn't defensively. It wasn't strategically sound because it wasn't. The walls were meant to defend arrows from Indians, not cannons and guns.
It was a mission first. And they
It was.
turned into a fort.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. They built the Alamo to convert Indians. Like I think the Spanish probably built the fucking thing.
Yes.
and they wanted to convert Indians, so they're like, okay, well, we'll bring in the good ones, make them Christians. The other ones we can defend against the arrows. This whole, but when Travis got there, he's like, well, this is pretty rad. I think we're gonna defend this shit because Santa Anna wanted it to take over so he could fucking defeat all the Texans who were revolting. It was going to be a kind of a point of
Yeah, it's a good strategic point.
strategic point because it's right in the middle of Texas at that point. So yeah, it's San Antonio de
Have y'all
Bejar.
been over there recently?
I haven't been there in
They're
7-8
They're
years.
expanding it and
Really?
making the walls.
I wasn't like 7
I
years
think
ago.
a little.
Yeah.
I was there this summer.
Oh, okay. I
Oh
need
no,
to go
actually,
back.
not even. I was there in December,
Yeah,
and they're building like walls around it now. It's getting
Interesting.
bigger.
Like outer walls.
Yeah, like, I guess
are they
what-
afraid
surrounded by
Mexicans
the
are going to
sea.
come
How-
in and?
They've taken over some. It's not
Are
as
they trying
much.
to rebuild it a little bit? Or
I think
what?
so. It's like
Yeah.
it's not like huge, but they've taken over like a block here and a block here and a
Really?
block here, and they're building a wall.
They're
around
just
it.
going to move it
I
onto the
don't know
river
if they're
walk.
like.
And
I don't know if that wall already existed, and they're just like making
Yeah.
sure it stays
That's
there.
interesting.
But they're making it bigger. It's definitely got more stuff. It's really cool now.
The Alamo is such an interesting place. And I had a joke I was doing for a little while. You know, like when if you're playing by like dog rules, a dog pees on something, it owns it. So does that mean Ozzy Osbourne owns the Alamo? Because he
Is that what
pissed
he
on
did?
it. He pissed on it.
He got
He
banned.
got drunk and pissed on it one
I
time.
thought I heard something.
That's a-
Yeah, he was
that's a
banned
real
for
story.
what, like 10 years or 20 years. He was banned from playing in San Antonio. I mean, they let him now, although Ozzy's going to be dead in probably a couple years.
He'll be
not
dead
doing
this summer. Unfortunately.
Sharon. His last words will be Sharon. But yeah, it's really people all over the world are obsessed with the Alamo. Phil Collins is obsessed with the Alamo.
I think
He's
it's
English.
much like 300 is, just battle to the death. I
It
was
is
gonna ask
like
you about
300.
this. I was going to ask you guys, like, what is that we like about that? Like, defending something
It's
till you
macho.
die.
It's fucking macho.
Oh, definitely.
You
I
could
mean,
take away the ideology, like, what is about it?
When
Like
you
you're saying,
die
the
for what
world
you
knows
believe.
it. Like,
Yeah.
remember the Alamo. People remember that shit.
Yeah,
for
I mean, I think
sure.
it's
Like,
the
what
fact that
about
they
it is-
killed everybody. They killed everybody. It was a rallying point for Texas. I don't know.
It was
It's-
definitely a turning point.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, I mean it because if the Alamo hadn't have happened, do you think Texas would have declared independence later that year?
I mean, I definitely think Texas would have became a state.
It would have become a
We
state,
were working
yeah.
our way towards that, but
Yeah, it may not have had that 9 years of
Yeah.
its own ass country.
I think I don't know what would have
Yeah.
happened.
It's very interesting, but yeah. So what are some other stuff you looked up about it, Roy?
What I find, because you guys mentioned the movie thing,
Oh yeah,
I find it interesting that the John Wayne one completely botched Davy Crockett. He surrendered.
yeah.
He did not. He surrendered.
Oh,
at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
And Santa Ana was like, "We're killing all of y'all."
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
What
Because
do you
him and
think-
like 3 other Tennessee volunteers
Yeah.
surrendered.
Yeah,
And at the end of it, which
he
the
was
new movie shows.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I thought
it's,
that was interesting.
doesn't
He didn't want to fight.
Billy Bob Thornton play
Yeah.
Davy?
He
I haven't
didn't-
seen the newer
Yeah,
one.
he didn't want to fight. That's what I'm telling you. Like he
I bet he fought for some of those 13 days, but then at
he
the end, he's
survived
like,
it. But
Yeah.
at the end, when it was just him,
Then
and
and then that's it. I give up.
when him and his
I'm
buddies
done.
were the only ones alive,
Yeah.
they were like, "We're done.
Yeah, they're
like,
like-
we're not fighting." And
Well, that's it.
I
How
thought
do you
that
think?
was-
Do you think? What do you think that was like? Does he think, all right, Santa, and I'll suck all your dicks right now if you let me live?
I don't
Probably
know.
not.
I do try to put myself in their shoes. Like, what the fuck is that like?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna fight to the death.
Yeah.
And you're fucking.
Yeah,
And you're like, no, I'm gonna quit. Hopefully, this
Yeah.
guy's got some
And also at the
diplomacy.
same time, At the same time, as bad as it sounds like, we're going to kill everybody, you got to understand how many Mexicans got killed. Like you said, like
600.
600?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
way more.
That's not forgivable.
No.
That's it.
I don't blame
You
either
see what I'm
side for
saying?
what.
It's
just
like,
No.
you have to win.
You
Wars
for
are
like
fought
13
different.
days, everybody's gone.
Well, and I mean, we weren't talking like these were not drone fighting. This wasn't like ICBMs or something. These guys were fighting face to face.
These are
like,
pre-Civil Wars muskets.
Yeah.
They didn't fire the
Yeah,
same.
and they were saving their powder, because they were like, yeah, let's kill all these fuckers, and they probably would have killed more if they'd had more powder, because it was kind of crazy.
I should have looked up. I wonder what the average age of the Mexican soldier was.
Oh, I bet it was late
Like
teens,
10
early
yeah,
20s.
10,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
15, 16
Yeah.
boys. Just
yeah, man.
fighting.
It's. I looked up the ages of everybody. So William Barrett Travis was only 27.
Yeah.
He was 27, and when the siege really
Mike.
started, he was one of the first guys to get killed. He got shot in the head. Boom.
I heard that.
Right.
He
on.
was dead
But
almost
then
immediately.
he came out with his own little
Oh,
gun.
yeah.
and-
He's the one with the slave, right? And the slave
Yeah, he had the slave, and his slave's like, "Oh shit!" when he sees his master get killed.
He's like, oh, I'm free.
And he's like, "I'm free now,
But
motherfucker!
he
I'm
didn't
joining
have-
the
I bet
Mexicans."
he didn't have just
No,
one
no.
slave.
I
No,
think he
no.
had one with him.
Well, he
there.
had one with him that was with
he's got
him
his
right when he got
personal,
killed.
system,
Yeah, I forget the
probably.
guy's
Load the
name.
gun.
It was probably Jim
He
or
had the guy
something,
load the gun.
or Kunta Kinte. I forget what his
Okay.
name was.
All right.
Oh, come on.
Don't start with the country. I got my
But Jim Bowie was 40. And Davy Crockett, he would have turned 50 if he'd have lived later that year.
He's
So
an
he's
old
like
man.
this. So I was the same age as Santa Ana, and Davy Crockett was the same age as like Russell. When
And
you
then
put that into
Juan
context,
was my age.
yeah. Juan was or like what Travis was like your age, or I forget. I didn't write down how old Juan Seguin was, but he lived to be like in his 80s. Yeah, Juan lived for a long time, and he fought in both battles. The
You know,
battle
I was
of-
gonna say it was crazy. I just speaking of like timeline.
Yeah.
I learned that this guy, he died in 2020. His grandfather was the second president.
of
So like of
provisional?
of the United States.
Oh.
So like there's people who are alive who's they're like 100
yeah.
in 2020.
Yeah.
Their father was like 80 when
Oh,
they
yeah.
had him. So he was alive
Yeah.
during this time.
Oh, yeah,
And
they're-
then his father was like born in colonial America.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like there's
Yeah.
some people like 3 generations
Yeah.
removed. Some people probably like whose grandfather died
Yeah.
like in the 70s or 80s were probably alive
Yeah.
during this.
Well, just for context, I'm sure you're not much of a fan of Michael Moore, but I used to be a big.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay.
I know who Michael
Okay,
Moore is.
so I was a big Michael Moore fan. He's one of the reasons I'm like a commie libtard or whatever. But he did like the Fahrenheit 9/11 and Bowling for Columbine, a lot of like social cultural documentaries. But I read one of his books. His grandfather was born in like 1870, so he was like in his 40s or 50s when he had Michael Moore's father, and Michael Moore's father was in his 40s or 50s. So yeah, a guy who's like in his 60s or 70s now had a grandfather that was born 5 years after the Civil War ended. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, there's some-
So there are people that
there's
have
people's grandparents
relatives
were
that
slaves.
yeah, slaves, and then also people that fought in the Alamo. Yeah, it's
fucking-
not that far removed.
It's really not. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we think of it as like
When
200
you
years.
realize it, right? When
Yeah,
it
and
hits
then
you, like,
well, when you go there, you're just like, the fuck? It's like, it's this big city, and then this little
Yeah.
spot. It's like,
Yeah.
we're so used to what we have around us right
Yeah.
nowadays that because I remember when I was a child, the first time I heard that someone had a color TV.
oh shit.
Exactly, I lived through that.
Really? Yeah, no, because I mean
Everything
that.
was
black
new
and
for you?
white.
Yeah, it was a while.
That guy would live like 3 blocks away from where I live. All the little kids around our age, we went there and we were watching cartoons for the first time in color.
Oh shit.
And I don't remember the year. But
They're like,
Now
holy
you have
shit,
an
Bugs
iPhone.
Bunny
Now you
isn't
can-
black and white.
Now you can watch porn on your phone, dude. It's crazy, huh?
Dude, yeah, right now. I did that earlier today. Boom.
I don't know. I just want to. I'm just gonna say I don't know. Because when you look at the territory that was gained from Texas,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the shape of Texas. It was like all the way up to Utah.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
wonder
yeah.
how much of it was them defending that as opposed
Yeah.
to slavery. Because I really don't like. I don't know how much of
Yeah.
that was not
because
even on the plane.
Santa Ana.
That was not even on the plane.
I'm just saying though, Santa Ana. I'm not
Once they capture
obviously
him.
slavery's bad, but Santa Ana
Yeah.
was basically a dictator.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was this altruistic
Yeah.
fellow. But I wonder again how much
Correct.
the land was the more
But I
important thing
understand
for them.
Texas
Yeah.
was his territory.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he would have amassed an army. I don't know if he would have amassed an army just for slaves. That's why.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was about the land.
This fucking land.
It was about the land.
A whole bunch of it, and and that was what 1830s.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of prehistory here. So Santa Anna, a lot of his men were not well trained. So you're probably right about them being fucking young as shit.
Just conscription soldiers.
So he had 6,000 guys in what would have been strategically more beneficial for him. He could have gotten there quicker. Is to take ships and sail across what is now known as the Gulf of America.
Amen.
Gulf of Mexico.
Don't get us kicked out of the White House. It's Gulf of America.
Right, yeah, Gulf of America. But it wasn't called that then. It was probably called what is the Spanish word for Gulf? Golfo de Mexico.
It probably wasn't even named.
It probably wasn't. They're just like, we're just going to go across. But instead of sailing, they're like, okay, I got to train these fuckers. So they marched across land in December. And these guys were not used to it being fucking cold because they were going straight north. So a lot of the guys were like, left, like when AWOL or whatever. I don't know if that was a word back then. A lot of them left. A lot of them, they found some of their guys got killed by Indians. They found them scalped. So, they started with 6,000.
I didn't even think about that. They still had to face other forces too.
And he was training them all along the way and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was not a hey, let's go fucking take over these guys. I mean, they were. So it was a hard. Kind of like when Hitler took all of his guys to Russia. They weren't prepared for
General
the cold.
Winter. You can't beat General Winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
exactly.
I just thought about that. I wonder what I wonder what history, like even just battles and shit, through a Native American's eyes. I wonder what they saw it as. Like, these fuckers are fighting with these weapons. What are they doing?
How warm was it in San Antonio when you were there in December, though? It was probably pretty fucking warm.
It was warm.
Yeah. Wasn't that in February, though?
Yeah, well, it took them 2 months to march
to get
there. Yeah, because they were going. Right? I mean, were they going from Mexico City? I don't know.
Assuming.
Yeah, from deep into Mexico, and they marched all the fucking way up there. I mean, I'm sure Santa Ana probably had a horse, but I mean, most of those guys were on foot, just
which
camping.
is a feat in itself. People don't realize moving soldiers across land.
Yeah.
Is a fucking feat.
That's why the Romans were so good at it.
And Napoleon was good at it too.
Yeah,
to be able to amass thousands and move them.
Yeah.
You're fucking. You have to eat. You have to drink water. You got to shit. You got.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got to protect from Indians. Like, I didn't even think about it's just a fascinating history. The 1800s. Anything pre-modern life for me is fascinating.
I mean, I think about whenever I'm driving across off the Cap Rock, going to like Dallas, Fort Worth or something, what it was like for like the Spanish conquistadors or whatever. Where they're like, holy shit, look at this canyon. What the hell? Because they don't know
this is one of the ones. So this is what you asked me to do this history episode. Yeah. One of the ones I was going to say was the Battle of Paladero.
Oh, yeah. That one's great.
I didn't know this, but they didn't go up. Anglo settlers didn't go up the Cap. They stayed in the Cap because they knew when they went up, those motherfuckers were there and ready to fucking scalp them. So then... Like the natives chilled at the top because they knew nobody was coming. And then they went to Paladero, second biggest canyon in America. And we didn't know about it. The American government didn't know that there was that there because that's where they were hiding. Then they would come up, fucking murder, and just chill out in this area, literally like post, and then come back over there.
Just imagine.
I didn't know that.
If the Indians had guns, they would have defended the fuck out of them, but they didn't, and we put them on reservations.
It was too late for them to get guns.
No, they were a little bit, but I mean, they put up a good fight.
Now, did you learn any of this in school? Like, did they teach you about this?
Well, it's kind of funny. You know how it is. They do mention it, of course, and you know how it is. History is written by whoever won the battle, and also,
victors,
by the victors, and also, but at the same time, again, that was a battle. The Alamo was a battle that was won by Mexico.
Yeah,
they won that one.
Yeah, they teach that side. Like, we won the Battle of the Alamo, and then then we just gave Texas.
I guess Mexico has such a long history.
Lost the battle sure. Jacinto, and that's when they captured the general.
Because Mexico has such a long history. It's probably just a blimp in it.
Yeah,
it's a long history.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me because it
is that where the come and take it comes from?
I think so. Yeah, they come and take it. Yeah. But so Bowie and Travis were the co-led, but I mean Bowie was sick, so Travis kind of took over. And hey, props to him for being the first one to get killed. I
guess that might have been for the best, huh? Getting shot in the head instead of getting a bullet in the stomach and fucking living through that.
But it's crazy. I can't imagine what the perception of those guys were, on both sides. They're probably scared shitless, but seeing 600 dudes get killed and they're like, oh shit, there's only like 180 guys in there. They've already killed 600 of us. Yeah. It's, I'm going to look up some other stuff. What else do you have on there, Roy?
I'm just looking just about, I know that Santa Anna didn't even go to the Alamo. He wasn't even there.
He was
way further away at a church and never stepped foot. I don't think he even stepped foot in San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he never even saw it until the end.
Really? So he just showed up and was he there like when
I think he was just giving orders and then he was like, this is it, it's over. And he came when it was safe. I know that. And then I know
it was that dangerous for him. He outdone with everybody. Just saying,
the movie's got that one wrong.
Yeah,
he never was there.
Okay. So I've got a little bit of a timeline here. I didn't know the Alamo was built in 1718 by Catholic missionaries. So I mean,
shit.
So it's fucking old as shit. It's over 300 years old. So 1718.
Oh, fuck.
So it predates the United States.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, it was one of 5 missions in San Antonio. Have you been to the other old missions? And they're so fucking cool. I went there the last time.
Is there one on the Riverwalk?
Oh, no, they're a little bit further out. But yeah, you can see, and there's actually like a courtyard. It's way, way bigger than the Alamo, but you can see like there's a chapel, and I think they still do mass in there sometimes. Like there was actually a service going on, and you could take like a communion or whatever.
I also wonder what was like because ChatGPT was like talking about cultural differences. I wonder how much of it was, Anglo settlers or Protestant, and Texas was run by Catholics.
Yeah,
I wonder
there
how
is
much
a lot,
of them was like, let's get that out of here too.
Yeah, Catholicism was because I mean, that's why people were racist against Irish and Italians because like fuck these Catholics. Well, this is kind of the same deal. So because the Protestant God is better than the Catholic God. I don't fucking know.
Same.
Who knows? Who cares? But let's see. So 32 men from Gonzales. Yeah, so the 32 guys got there. Because Sam Houston called for like support. Because and only the guys from the Alamo were like, yes, we got more guys, and they saw it was only 36. They're like, fuck, only 36 more guys. But yeah, so shit. Within 10 days, so this is really strategic. This is almost like the Constitutional Convention, because only 10 days after the Battle of the Alamo ended is when they wrote the Constitution of the Republic of Texas. There's when they completed it. Yeah. So 10 days after. Let's see. Davy Crockett brought between 30 and 65 men. So, but they came in through Nacogdoches. Yeah. Have either of y'all read Blood Meridian? Are you familiar with it though?
I've heard it.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's a lot of it. It's the same time period. I think it takes place more in the 1840s. But this battle between like these Texans who are Texans and Americans going in and killing Indians and selling their scalps. But when they couldn't find Indians, they were just killing Mexicans, and they're like, well, it's black hair, and they were killing just en masse.
Oh shit.
And this is after, so they didn't like there was a lot of it happened.
Wait, when was this?
This is like in the 1840s.
Oh.
So the book isn't directly based on actual events, but it's based on kind of the history around this area. So there after the Battle of the Alamo, after Texas was independent, Texans were fucking horrible to Mexicans.
Well, they had to fucking tame the land, so to speak.
So I mean, and there were like your mestizo, people that were of Native and Mexican heritage living in Texas. But these guys, I think it was like Glanton's Raiders. They were going across the border into Mexico, killing Indians and Mexicans, and then selling their scalps to like the Texas government. It was crazy.
I think if my history is correct, this is Bradley was telling me.
Yeah.
Like all these Mexicans and Tejanos and Mestizos, they owned a lot of the land here.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, yeah.
after it became a state, then that's when the white folks were like, no, that's why you guys have all the big ranches right
Oh
now.
yeah,
They
for
just
sure.
took it.
I mean,
this is our land
They
now.
did the same thing to black people in Tulsa, and
Yeah, I
like, hey,
think
we're
so.
going to take all your shit that you have
I
legally.
think all the land was just fucking taken.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we owned a lot of it. I say we because my family comes from around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we own like huge, like big ranches. And then it was just like, no, you're not allowed to own that. We will own this.
Okay, so I was wrong about the name of Travis's slave. It wasn't Jim. It was Joe.
Whatever
It was
the other,
Joe.
Kind of close.
whatever the other name was.
And then Jim Bowie's slave Ben. They were actually both were spared. So neither of them. I guess they're like, well, you're slaves, even though you fought with these white dudes, these
You
Texans.
didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, no, they're like, well, it would be kind of hypocritical for us to kill the slaves that we're trying to free. So even though they. But yeah, so this kind of set the stage for, Texas becoming a state in 1845. So, but yeah, so Jim Bowie, 39 when he died. So,
Damn.
yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I'm curious about this. What did they do with the bodies? They just burned them. That makes sense. Why would they do
This
anything
cause
else?
disease if you left them there.
Yeah, that's true.
Stink.
Yeah, no kidding. So Davy Crockett had at least 2 slaves, and one of them which survived.
If I'm not mistaken, Civil War battles weren't that long because the bodies stunk. After a few days, you had to quit fighting because it was so bad, the bodies, that they had to like get rid of them.
The crazy thing is the modern funeral industry was created because of the Civil War.
Oh yeah, they were
Because you had so many dead bodies all over, like these soldiers.
they were swindlers, weren't they?
Yes. So you said there's like disease and stuff. Dead bodies don't carry any more diseases than now. They rot, they stink.
Yeah.
But that's actually a myth. But these guys were like, we have
like
to
brothers.
we have to preserve these dead bodies. So after the Civil War, they were like they would pack them, they would formaldehyde, whatever, ship the bodies in trains, take them back up north so their families. So after the Civil War is over, these guys who made all this money, like, hey, let's tell everybody that we have to embalm them. We have to.
I forgot about that.
So yeah, the modern funeral industry in the United States, because in other countries they don't do that as much as us, but yeah, the modern funeral, whatever. Yeah.
I wonder if any Texas revolutionaries fought in this Civil War.
Oh, 100%.
That was 30 years later?
Yeah, it was like 30 years later. So there were
maybe?
guys probably in their late teens that were in their 40s. That
I think there's
probably
like one battle in Texas.
yeah. Well, in Texas, the Texans were the last ones to hear about the Civil War being over.
Juneteenth.
Yeah, Juneteenth. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Juneteenth is a. How much longer do you think Juneteenth will still be a federal holiday?
It's not a federal holiday.
It's only a Texas state holiday. Is it not?
I don't know. I don't.
Just observe or whatever.
Texas Tech observes it.
You guys co-opted Cinco de Mayo, so you might co-opt that one too.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
I just find like the 1800s fascinating because you had all these revolutions. You had the French Revolution. Mexico gained their independence from Spaniards.
Yeah.
We were kind of just like figuring shit out. We were new. We were just on the cusp of a revolution.
Yeah.
We were kind of killing kings and like the world was like, we're fed up with monarchies and shit.
Yeah, I mean that from the late 1700s until like the early 1900s with like World War One.
Which you could argue all of this led up to World War One.
All of it led up to World War One. Yeah,
They all were like just families fighting each other. And like, no, we'll send the poor to go fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating time.
Well,
I couldn't. Can you imagine? Like, I've heard about Civil War stories. I couldn't imagine this one. They were less equipped, less ready. Like having to amputate your leg with like a fucking saw.
Oh yeah, no,
Because you were gonna die, and you had no anesthesia, and just fucking give me that liquor bottle and go.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of times they would have like on ships when they're crossing the whatever, going from like Europe to Africa or Europe to Asia or whatever. They would have surgeons on the ship. Those guys' jobs was basically to just euthanize people, because if you got sick on a ship, if a rat bit you, bubonic plague, you weren't gonna live.
It was a problem for everybody too.
Yeah, they might just like euthanize you, throw you overboard. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it was a disease. Everything's rampant. So if you got injured pretty bad in a war or in a battle, you're probably just gonna die. Yeah. It wasn't until like the 20th century that a lot of people could survive this shit.
I wonder at what point in this battle of the Alamo did it get like intimate, like stabbing and hitting each other with rocks and shit. Like,
well,
once they breached the wall, bro, it got like real rough.
There was a lot of probably face to face.
I think fast enough when you got somebody on top of you. That's why you got the bayonet in front of it. And that's what you use.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Bayonet.
Okay.
Bayonet. Yeah.
See how you pronounced it.
Yeah. It's
Bayonetta.
So Travis, prior to the battle, he was recruiting. They recruited a company of professional soldiers. So that's probably to reinforce the Texians at the Alamo. So one thing, when he had these pro soldiers that were probably, I don't know, they might have fought in, trying to think.
We just we're starting to.
Yeah.
Our army was just becoming something.
So that's probably, he had these professional soldiers. That's probably why they killed so many Mexicans, because these guys were like good shots, right off the.
Probably the Battle of 1812.
Yeah, these guys are like grizzled, You
also had to be tough to come here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You had to be tough. Yeah. Even the women, everybody.
Well, I mean, if you watch any like Western or like,
American
did you watch
Primeval?
Do what?
American Primeval.
I haven't watched that yet.
I want to watch that.
So you've got people that are crossing, like that are on the East Coast, that are basically like living in nice houses. They have probably toilets, and they're like, let's go to Texas and make a life. And a lot of these people were not prepared. And then like, now we got to defend this shit against Mexicans just so we could have slaves? What the hell?
Not even Mexicans. You got to watch out for them Comanches.
Oh, for the Comanches and stuff.
Were ruthless.
Yeah. Have you watched Horizon yet? The Kevin Costner? Yeah. So the first scene in that is like a bunch of settlers just being slaughtered by Indians. It's crazy. But I mean, they were on their land.
They were slaughtering each other.
Yeah, they were slaughtering each other. Yeah, it was a lot of, Let's see. What else? How many men did they
ethnically, what are you considered? Like, does that exist over there?
What do you mean?
Like, he's white.
Yeah.
Like, are you Spaniard? Are you French? Are you native? Like, what would you consider yourself?
I consider myself Mexican.
Yeah,
basically.
I get that.
But it's...
do you know where your lineage is?
I haven't really done much research, but of course, obviously, you see, the native
Spaniard
Americans and also the native Mexicans, so you too, the people from the tribes, they're usually short with darker skin than mine. So most likely, they usually don't have facial hair.
I got you, because I got some uncles that look like that.
Most likely, I'm a mixture of Spaniards.
You're taller. Long hair.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's when I took when I was in junior high, I took a Spanish class, and the lady who taught it, she was talking about, in Mexico you have the people of Spanish origins, the European, and then those of Native American. And she said, there's a lot of intermarrying, but she's like, she was shorter. She had like a wider nose. And she's like, I tend to have more of the Native American because I tend to look more. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I never thought about it before because, I mean, you have mestizo. The term mulatto is not a proper term anymore, but that's like a mix.
Is it not? I used that on a podcast.
Oh, I mean, it's not like I don't think it's racist. It's just
it's not used as much.
Yeah, like biracial is what you say, but mulatto is just a mix of someone from African and European.
I wonder why they looked at me funny.
Yeah, they're like, well, what are you damn mulattoes looking at? But yeah, it's crazy the all the different mixing, because I mean Mexico, I mean is I mean it's not necessarily I mean I guess it's colonial is because the Spanish colonized, so it's really similar in the fact of the makeup of native people and then slave populations and Europeans. So I don't know. America is kind of that way too, but it seems like we're a lot wider than way wider. There wasn't we didn't intermarry with the Native Americans in America. We just like, hey, go to the.
They're so pretty.
Yeah, the Native Americans. You mean they're very hairless too.
So I just want to kiss them. Give them a kiss.
Yeah. But
They always think I'm native, but I'm not.
Really? What is it? It's probably the long hair, dude. It's
One
what
guy
it is.
one time, I thought he was Mexican. He came up to me. He's like, "Hey, what tribe are you in?"
You should look that up. You should do a 23andMe and see
Shit,
if you.
pay off my college debt, please.
There you go. There you go.
Give me a casino when they legalize it here.
Do you think they ever will?
They're trying to. We'll
Really?
see. I don't know if Abbott will let it happen, but they're trying.
Yeah,
Abbott's a son bitch sometimes. That motherfucker.
Yeah, we need less guys in wheelchairs in
I need
office.
to do my research. I find like post-revolutionary times fascinating. Like America, Europe, post-World War II. Like I want to know what those times were like after like a major battle.
Go get yourself another degree in history or something.
I love history, but I just don't like to read. But I need to put on a podcast and listen to this shit.
Yeah,
even
hardcore
like
history.
Japan, they went through a civil war. That's where the Ronin comes from.
Yeah.
And then like, just even like American history, westward expansion, Wild West, like that shit. What we did to the land, some consider to be the worst ecological disaster in Earth history.
Yeah.
Because of all the plant and wildlife that was here before us. We kind of there's no longer there.
Yeah.
There was bears here.
Oh,
there was
yeah,
elk
yeah.
in Texas. There's
Yeah.
no longer any of that here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You might have the stray antelope and mule
You guys
deer.
got jaguars. One of them goes up to Tucson. Did you know that? There's like 5 of them now.
Jaguars?
There's like a family of jaguars that moved. There was one. He went to Tucson. And they were tracking him, and now he's got like a lover. And
really?
I think they had babies.
Yeah. He's just fucking a house cat, just a really big
I don't
house
know,
cat.
bro. Could you imagine being in your city and you're like, oh, fucking jaguar?
Oh, yeah, no,
You're just
well-
getting out of your car and he just hits at you, a big ass jaguar.
There was a part like you know how like Detroit was, a lot of people were like abandoning the city and stuff. Bears were coming in to certain like the
Oh,
suburbs
shit.
around it, because I mean there's bears up there in Michigan, and I've
bear?
seen bears like in Wyoming and stuff.
Well, that's still wild.
Yeah, it is. I mean they got shitloads
got
of
grizzlies.
elk and yeah, grizzlies, black bears, everything. Yeah, but Texas, we don't have near as much wildlife. Although one of my friends posted a bunch of pictures of foxes that have
There's some
been.
here.
There's tons of foxes all around.
They put the barbed wire fence around Texas and ruined it. Everything's fucking private here.
Yeah,
No
you're
goddamn
not
public
wrong.
land.
It is.
That's
it
one
is.
of our faults, I think. But
Yeah. But so any final thoughts? I wanted to end this with a joke I'd heard about the Alamo. But what else
You have
did
a
you?
joke about the Alamo?
It's not my joke. It's but it's pretty funny.
I don't know. Whenever I think of history, I like to put myself in their shoes. Like, what
Yeah.
would I do?
Oh, same. Yeah.
And if I was a Mexican fighting, I think that would be scary. If I was defending the Alamo, that'd be scary. If I was a woman fight in there, I don't know, man. I wish, man, that's one thing I wish we could do is just see history as it was. I wonder how accurate.
Time machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is there's something in our psyche that, I was trying to talk about it, like fighting till the death for something is pretty romanticized.
I mean, that's why I think a lot of TV shows and stuff like Game of Thrones, where it's like, oh, these people battling each other, or even something like Breaking Bad, where it's like this macho guy who's got to kill to, it's
Walter White.
we love stories about people taking power and claim, and this is all about power and
How much of that, just that life and that time do you think is embedded in our DNA?
Oh,
you
Also,
think it's in
being
us?
the underdog is also
Yeah.
something that we
we
tend to
root for.
identify with.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, but I wonder how much of that fight is still in us. Like if a war happened, like how much of us would get? I believe a lot of us would be activated. I think so.
Yeah, it just depends. I think we would need an enemy that
Like if somebody invaded,
I think aliens. It would have to be aliens.
we couldn't fight aliens.
Because I mean, every yeah, I don't know. What country would invade the U.S.
China.
at this point? You think China?
Maybe.
Yeah. You think Xi Jinping? You think Winnie
I
the
think it would
Pooh
be a
would?
big. I don't want to get into that. It's a
Yeah,
different
no.
podcast. But no.
But I don't think at this point in time, like almost 200 years ago, you had to fight for what you had, especially if you were going west and you didn't have a government protecting you. They're like, well, we got to do this on our own. So, I mean, that's why you had 200 guys at the Alamo, defending it. It's
a great story.
It's
a great movie. The
very
new one's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate and
Yeah.
it's remember the Alamo. It's a fucking sick ass battle cry.
Yeah, I should know this. Is Ken Burns made an Alamo documentary?
I don't know.
Okay,
I need to get into it.
he's doing. Oh, I would highly recommend.
I want to get into his Nam one.
Which one?
Vietnam.
Oh, the Nam one is great.
I heard that was
He's
wild.
starting to do. He used to only do American history. Now he's doing like European history and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he was on what's his name? Somebody's podcast, Neil Brennan's podcast recently. So he's doing, and his daughter and wife work on these films with him. So I need to look and see if there's an Alamo one because his has to be insanely accurate because he
does his work.
But yeah, he does. So, what? Any other final thoughts? Okay, so here's the joke. There's a plane and it's going down, and there's let's see, there's a Frenchman, a Englishman, a Texan, and a Mexican all on the plane, and there's only one
parachute.
Yeah, one parachute. Have you heard this joke?
No, but there's a lot of go like that.
Oh, whatever. So the plane is going down, and so the Frenchman, he puts on the parachute and he says "Viva la France" and he jumps out, and the British guy, he puts on the parachute and he says "God save the Queen" and he jumps out, and then the Texan, he puts on the parachute and he says "Remember the Alamo" and he grabs the Mexican and throws him out.
Shit. Yeah, that's a good one.
So there was only 3 parachutes.
There's only 3 parachutes. I told it wrong. Yeah, it's a dumb joke, but it's boom. Yeah, but hey, no matter what side, it's a more complicated battle than we take into account. But it's pretty cool. Thanks for talking about it. This is Roy's idea, but we'll probably release this right before the 179th anniversary.
Oh shit! Yeah, huh?
Yeah, it's coming.
Today?
Yeah, today's the 16th. So in about so it'll
actually this will be out the 17th. Or you can put out your other one tomorrow.
I don't know if I'm going to record another one yet. I'm waiting on somebody to get back to
so
me.
This will be out tomorrow.
Yeah,
actually.
that's fine.
So a week before.
A week before. So hey, watch this episode and remember the Alamo, and follow the Snake Pit on everything. And Rafa, you're on Instagram and
tacos, tequilas.
We're about to release our podcast, Taco Sandwich, with me, my co-host Angel. So keep an eye for that one.
I'm looking forward to watching that. So hey, thanks for watching Breaking Hyman, everybody. Have a good one.
God bless.